Hey guys, so today I'm 18 weeks pregnant. Yay! I've been thinking a lot about my home birth. Because of how the last meeting went with the midwife, I really didn't feel comfortable with her response. With the GD test, I think it becomes problematic if you start declining a lot of these things that most women are happy to take. And I don't want to come off as supposedly more knowledgeable or ignorant when it comes to making sure that the baby is healthy. But I worry that because she refused to take it off as a recommended referral for my GTT, that I will come off as having declined this, even though I sincerely don't need it. So I've done even more research, and I've had some wonderful friends in the area who are very pro home birth say that the NHS themselves define South Asian as other countries that don't include China and Japan. And I found that really disturbing that the midwife, instead of looking it up herself or considering what I was saying, just wrote me off and said, well, no, I know that Chinese and Japanese people are a part of the high diabetes category. And of course, it would be something if I had any other indication that I needed this test, but I sincerely don't. My BMI is really good, she told me. I don't have any history of diabetes. I don't have any family history of diabetes. Didn't have diabetes with my firstborn. So there are so many other factors that would flag me. If my race was my ethnicity was the only reason that I was being referred for this test, I would like her to get my ethnicity right. Anyway, we're gonna move on from that. So I've been really thinking about my home birth. I really, really want to have a relationship and know the person who would come to my home birth. And the problem with the NHS right now, especially in my area, is that there are so many different people who might be on call for a home birth that there is no way for me to control who would be coming to my birth via the NHS. So it looks like the only option right now is really to hire an independent midwife. I want to be able to know who's coming and to be comfortable that the person who is coming is very naturally birth-minded. Unfortunately, there are people who go to home births in this area who aren't very supportive of home births. I'm thinking, why are they there? But I don't think they have a choice sometimes. It can really ruin a home birth, and I've seen it happen with my own eyes. I've read stories online on midwives just doing a terrible job, and I think a birth is that important that we shouldn't risk something like that. So back up a little bit. I'm American, obviously, and I'm here living in the UK, and I'm surrounded by people who have been in the NHS and been using the NHS very happily for many, many years. And the mentality here is that you take what you can get, you know? I mean, the NHS is free to them, and they're not going to want to make separate birth choices where they have to pay out of pocket, especially in the thousands of pounds. Here in the UK, I think women are just so used to birth being not a choice, so used to just being like, okay, whatever, this is just what every woman does here in the UK anyway. Why am I worrying about who's going to show up at my birth? Every woman doesn't know who's going to show up at their birth. I just come from a different perspective, and I think having had such an amazing home birth with a midwife that we knew very well, having that experience would make me feel like I wouldn't want to do it any other way. I feel like I'm more emotional than other women, but I'm very emotional, and I worry that I wouldn't be able to control my emotions if I get angry at someone for coming in and telling me how to birth. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, other things. About 3 or 4 days ago, I just suddenly felt heavy. Leading up to about my 16, 17 weeks, I just haven't been feeling that pregnant, like in terms of carrying another human inside you and carrying extra weight. But suddenly I just felt heavy a couple days ago, and it's been great. I really like it because it just makes me feel like this is more and more real, and the baby is growing, and we're going to be able to have another little, child running around just like we have now, and it's just such a miracle how they grow and how they change and how they develop. So I remember now, looking back, how short pregnancy was, with my first, but sometimes I feel like still yet again, here we are, and I feel like it's dragging along, but soon enough we're gonna have a baby, and I'm gonna be telling you guys about the new baby and how the birth went, etc. It's just a little bit surprising for me that it's gonna be here, and it's gonna be here soon. So I shouldn't complain about it dragging on or anything, but I just wanted to be honest with you guys and tell you guys what I feel. For some reason, I'm just thinking a lot about the birth, but there's still a lot of stuff that has to happen before the birth. For example, the name. And I also want to share with you guys why we're not going to find out the gender beforehand, so that'll be another video. I'm also going to talk to you guys about my birth, my first time around, some differences between the first and second pregnancy, but obviously having this pregnancy in a different country is going to make a huge difference. And also second pregnancies it's just not celebrated as much as your first pregnancy. Here in the UK, it's not really customary to do baby showers, and if you want a baby shower, you basically have to tell someone to host it, or you have to host it yourself. So unless you obviously have close friends who know your other friends, but people here I feel like are definitely more private, that you kind of have different circles of friends and you don't really bring them together, so they don't really know each other. And I think that's what makes having a baby shower that a friend wants to throw for you so difficult, because they don't really know who to invite, they don't know those other people. Whereas in America, I remember I loved mixing my circles of friends, and I felt like they could feel free to invite each other because they knew how important each of them were to me. So thinking about that, and I'm thinking, it's very possible that the second child isn't going to have a baby shower, and we're just going to have to rely on our friends and family in the States who want to be really nice to send us anything via amazon.co.uk, or I don't know. So just a couple things that I'm thinking about this week, and I'll catch up with you guys again in another 2 weeks regarding my bump updates. And in the meantime, I hope you guys are having a lovely week. Bye!